a feeling that feels older than you. It doesn't just live in your chest, it haunts it. It visits you in quiet moments, in songs that sound like home but aren't, in faces that almost feel familiar, in dreams that end too soon. This is the ache of yearning, not the surface level desire for something shiny or new, but the deep gravitational pull towards something that seems to exist just beyond reach. It's not hunger for what you can name, it's the ache for what you can't. Yearning is one of the oldest human emotions. It's the echo of separation, the ancient wound of being born into a world that once felt like union. Psychologically, yearning begins with the first fracture, the moment we realize we are separate from what sustains us. A baby's cry for the absent mother, the soul's cry for the missing divine, the adult's ache for love that mirrors understanding. Yearning is the space between presence and absence, the awareness that something is missing, coupled with the memory of what it felt like to have it. It is both grief and hope intertwined. Neuroscience tells us that longing activates the same reward pathways as addiction. The dopaminergic system, especially the ventral tegmental area, lights up, not because we have what we want, but because we don't. The chase itself becomes intoxicating. The imagination of a fulfillment releases more pleasure than its reality ever could. This is the paradox of yearning. We ache not just for what we desire, we ache for the feeling of desiring itself. In adolescence, yearning takes on a new face. It becomes romantic, existential, creative. Teenagers fall in love with possibility. They yearn not only for another person, but for a version of themselves that could exist in love's reflection. The yearning becomes a mirror of identity. Who am I in relation to what I want? They dream of connection that redeems them. They fantasize about being seen so deeply that their loneliness dissolves. But yearning, when unchecked, becomes a fixation, an endless orbit around what might be. This is why so many of us fall for unavailable people, distant futures, or impossible ideals. The unattainable keeps the yearning alive, and the yearning keeps us feeling alive. In adulthood, yearning matures, but it doesn't disappear. It just changes form. We yearn for meaning, for purpose, for peace, for a sense that all this effort leads somewhere sacred. But the modern world exploits yearning. It turns it into currency. Social media, advertising, relationships. Everything tells us you're one purchase, one person, one transformation away from feeling whole. And so, we chase endlessly. We crave love, status, validation, enlightenment. Yet the more we chase, the more distant wholeness feels. Because the truth is, yearning cannot be satisfied externally. It is the mind's echo of separation from the self. Psychologically, yearning sits at the intersection of memory and imagination. It's fueled by the hippocampus, which stores emotional memory, and the prefrontal cortex, which simulates the future. Together, they create a loop, remembering what we once had, imagining what could be, and mistaking both for what's missing now. But beneath all of that, yearning has a spiritual intelligence. It is the soul's homing signal, the instinct to return to something eternal. Every longing, no matter how worldly, is ultimately a misdirected desire for communion, with love, with meaning, with the self. That's why yearning never truly ends. It transforms. It starts as desire for another person, and if we're wise, it ends as a call toward wholeness. There's something poetic about the way the psyche disguises its hunger. The person we crave is often a projection, a container for qualities we've exiled in ourselves. We yearn for the confidence, the calm, the mystery, the warmth we once felt near them. But what we're really chasing is our own reflection through their light. When the object of yearning disappears, the wound reopens. But the ache is sacred. It's the body's way of saying, remember what you are capable of feeling. That's what makes yearning both torment and teacher. It exposes where we are still divided. In love, yearning becomes magnetic. It pulls us toward unavailable lovers because, unconsciously, the distance sustains the fantasy. If we got what we wanted too soon, the illusion would break. The psyche needs the ache to stay alive because the ache gives identity. I am the one who wants. I am the one who waits. This is the psychology of romantic masochism, the emotional addiction to almost, the high of anticipation, the beauty of tragedy, the poetry of being misunderstood. The anxious brain equates love with longing, and so when love finally feels secure, the nervous system panics because calm feels like loss of stimulation. The deeper we go, the clearer it becomes. Yearning is not just emotional, it's neurological, biochemical, and spiritual all at once. It is the nervous system's memory of divine union, the original attachment, the original safety. But what if yearning isn't meant to be fixed? What if it's meant to be understood? Because the moment we stop fighting our longing and start listening to it, it begins to reveal what it's really pointing toward. The parts of us that have never been met, held, or understood. In therapy, the process of healing yearning is called integration. It's when the self turns inward to meet its own unmet needs. When the adult self becomes the parent to the inner child who still waits. When we realize the beloved we seek outside has always been an archetype of our own wholeness. This is emotional alchemy, turning longing into awareness, ache into art, absence into meaning. There's a beauty in longing when it's owned, when it's no longer desperation, but devotion. When you can say, yes, I want deeply, but I am not lost in that want. This is the maturity of yearning. When you can feel desire without being ruled by it. When you can hold the ache gently, like a flame cupped in your hands. When you understand that what you're longing for is not out there, but mirrored in everything that moves you. To yearn is to be alive. It's proof that you still believe in beauty, that you still expect something more from this world. But the secret is this: the moment you stop grasping, yearning transforms into presence. The ache doesn't vanish, it deepens. It becomes a quiet pulse that reminds you that you belong to this moment, not the one you keep imagining. And maybe that's the truest form of fulfillment, not the end of yearning, but its evolution, from hunger to reverence, from absence to awe, from chasing love to becoming it. Yearning is not a flaw, it's your humanity whispering, there is more. But the more you seek, the more you'll realize you were never chasing another person or even another life. You were chasing the moment you finally feel safe to be here, as you are. And that is where yearning finally finds its home. Thank you for sitting with me in this space tonight. If this reflection touched something quiet within you, don't let it fade. Share this with someone who feels too much, who loves too hard, who still believes in death in a world that numbs. And if you'd like to keep wandering through the psychology of emotion, of longing, of self, stay here with me. Subscribe, follow, and keep coming back to the fire, where we turn ache into understanding. Until next time, remember, your yearning is proof you're alive.